Yeah, as I say, after about 20 minutes or so, take a little break. I may say a few words, and then we'll sit again, and and what? And then at the end, whenever that is, 7:30, 20 to 8, something like that, I'm going to ask Wong Du to unmute us all, and we can have questions and discussion. But meantime, if you have a question, whether it's an urgent question, oh, hi, I'll come back to that in just a moment. Hello, I'm you. Hello, Evie. I think I'm reading this right. I'm Colin. What did I say? Yeah, if you've got a question or a comment or anything like that at any time while we're together, send through by chat, please. And I've got one eye on the chat box, so I'll try to help. I mean, if anybody's having a lot of difficulty, I'm only too happy at, when we take the first little break to try and address it. I think that's about it. You get the general idea. Oh, there again, feel free if you can't hear me, or if there's a lot of distortion or anything like that, just send me a chat, and I will try and do something about it. As I say, I don't know who's kind of new to the class, except for one person. Welcome. And who's just an old timer. Doesn't really matter, really. What I'd like to do, I want to, since this is the first class since the summer break, and I hope you all had a pretty reasonable summer break. Over here, the grass went brown, and then the heavens opened and it all turned green again, which is a lesson in impermanence, I guess. That was the summer. As I say, since this is the first class back, what I want to do is just say something about why we're doing this. Obviously, why do new people come to meditation? Why do those of us who've been doing this for, it seems like, many, many lifetimes, why do we keep on coming back? And so with that in mind, I'm going to ask Wong Du, please, to put up what I consider to be a reason for doing this, a motive for doing this. Wong Du, please, could we have generating the mind of enlightenment? And I will say something about it when it appears. That's very good. I can see that. That's fine. I hope everybody else can. Generating the mind of enlightenment. So that could be why we're doing this. What this is if we're Mahayana Buddhists or Tibetan Buddhists, we're doing this to aspire to be bodhisattvas. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, bodhisattvas are beings who could just decide to take full and complete enlightenment and disappear from the world of the six senses altogether. Or they could decide to stay along to help all other suffering beings. So if you want to know what this is about, it's a reason for meditation from this perspective is to make the world a better place. Amazing. So here we are sitting here for a lot of different reasons, and I'm suggesting another one, a very expansive, grand one actually, to make the world a better place. To make the world a better place. And I find that personally extremely helpful, because we all have rocky patches in our practice. It's like we're not getting anywhere, or too busy, or blah blah blah. And it's all me and my problems, right? It's nice to put our own practice in perspective. Yeah, I'm having a rough time, but if I keep at it, maybe in ways I don't pretend to understand, other people are benefiting. I mean, that's all. And I just like to reflect on that myself. Now, actually, when it's like, what do I do when I meditate? Actually, I say to myself, the refuges and precepts, Namo Tassa Bhagavata, and all the rest of it. And then I say that as well. I repeat that. I just find it personally very helpful. You might too. I'd like just to say it, actually, and anybody who wants to can join in. And I'd like to welcome Wayne, who is new to the class too, and has sent me a smiley face. Good to see you. So, I think I'll just run through it, and I might make a few comments on it afterwards. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until the attainment of full enlightenment. Enthused by compassion and wisdom, today, in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, and as long as sentient beings remain, may I too abide to dispel the miseries of the world. And one could talk about this for a long, long time, and I don't want to do that. But I just want to say, some people might be wondering, why? What does this really mean? And the first line is with the wish to free all beings. So look at that. This is to help to liberate all beings, and that includes each one of us here. Very much including the person who's sitting where you are right now. And then it says, I'll always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, the traditional, Buddhist refuges, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. And what does that mean right now? What does that mean right now? I'm going to go for refuge in wisdom, Buddha, wisdom, in Dharma, the truth, and Sangha, in human form. That's not an abstract thing. There are however many of us here. Let me just check. There are 19 of us here, right? 19 human beings here today. And what we're going to do is take refuge in wisdom and truth as human beings. As I said, it's not abstract. This is just for us. And then the next stanza, enthused by compassion and wisdom, today in the Buddha's presence. Well, the Buddha's not here right now. I've got a Buddha image in the background, and in a moment I'm going to ask Wangdu to put up the usual rupa we use. But what that refers to, as far as I'm concerned, is, and this is there again, is a very kind of Mahayanist perspective. Everybody here has the potential for wisdom in the Buddhist sense, right? Everybody does, and it's always available right now. It's the natural state of the mind. Today, right now, in the Buddha's presence, right, we're cultivating this potential for wisdom. It's the natural state of the mind. And we generate the mind of enlightenment for the benefit of, again, all sentient beings, including us. Don't forget yourself. As long as space endures, and as long as sentient beings remain, may I too abide. However long it takes, patience, keep at it. However long it takes, may I too abide to dispel the miseries of the world. There's a paradox in this, isn't there? Because in some sense, our aspiration is enlightenment for little old me, little old you. But the paradox is this: maybe doing this for the benefit of everyone, actually, however long it takes, accelerates our own realization of enlightenment. It's a strange old thing, isn't it? So to heck with my enlightenment, right now. Let's try and help other people. But maybe that in itself accelerates one's own. Well, who knows? But I offer you this Bodhisattva practice as one motivation. To do what we're doing this evening. Wangdu, please, could we have the Buddha image, do you think? Thank you so much. That's very good. So a word or two about nuts and bolts of what we're doing. Mindfulness practice. What's mindfulness? To me, it's noticing what's going on in the mind, in our world, without attaching to it. So key phrases you'll get from me are noticing and letting go, noticing and letting go. Attachment is the big problem from the Buddhist perspective. Attachment to what? Attachment to actually everything. So we're cultivating an attitude of fully aware of what's going on in the mind, but learning how to let go of it. This requires a mental attitude of open-minded curiosity. Everybody's probably got preconceptions about practice. This evening, right now, it's good to sort of suspend them, put them on hold. If you're taking your shoes off, it's like taking this attitude of, it's like, this is my expectation. Take that off as well. The posture supports. I suggest the posture supports this attitude of alertness and letting go, of being awake, but also relaxed as well. So, it's a conundrum again. We want to sit in a certain way, which is alert, but not uptight, not tense. Alert, but not uptight. Equally, it's important to be relaxed, right? And yet alert at the same time. So everybody's going to work on that. Alert, relaxed. Alert, relaxed. Relaxed, but alert. Can we be completely relaxed, but not go to sleep? Can we be alert to all possibilities without tensing up around about it, That's a balancing act, isn't it? That's a balancing act. But the attitude of being alert respects this, supports this noticing aspect of mindfulness. We're alert. We notice what's going on. Oh, I feel like this. Or no, there's a sound coming in. Or whatever. You notice it. We're not blanking things out, but we let go of it. And that requires relaxation, mental relaxation, and in fact, physical relaxation as well. So alert, relaxed posture, balanced posture, stable posture. Just bring attention into the body. Oh, the noticing practice begins right now. How's the body feel? How's the body feel? And tired, bright, cheerful, plenty of energy, or pretty tired. Doesn't matter, just notice it. Just notice the body. And I find it very helpful, a lot of people find it helpful, to be aware of small sensations in the body. It's very easy to say, how are you feeling this evening, Colin? And I might turn around and say, oh, I'm feeling my age. And I don't really mean that. I mean, it's like, am I aware of what my hands are doing? Am I aware of my feet on the floor? Am I noticing the pressure of sitting on this cushion that I'm sitting on? So just sweep the body very gently. When Ajahn Barry comes along, as he will be doing in a couple of classes' time, he'll probably spend most of the class just encouraging us to scan the body, a body scan, a body sweeping exercises. So just notice any sensations without any kind of judgment at all. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. So how are the feet how are the feet feeling? If you're sitting on the floor, you notice the feet, you notice the shins, because you're making contact with the floor. Sitting on a chair, just the soles of the feet, I notice. What other big sensations are there? Anything around the knees? Certainly there will be if we're sitting on the floor. Stretch over the knees, perhaps. I should say this, that this practice is not about going through the pain barrier. So if anybody does feel very uncomfortable, I know it's very uncomfortable. It's all the difference in the world between a bit of a niggle and wishing it wasn't there to wishing just, oh, that's what's going on. You notice the mental reaction to a bit of discomfort. Oh, just sit with that, please. Just notice you want to let go of it. That's good practice. But there's a difference between that and serious pain resulting in a torn ligament. You do not do that. You change your posture. It's as simple as that. Move your legs around, get up, whatever. Okay? Use common sense here. Common sense. The feeling of sitting on whatever you're sitting on, a cushion, a chair, a bench. Contact between backside and cushion. Weight of the body. You can't miss it. Where have we put our hands? Hands are very, very sensitive, aren't they? We park them somewhere, I think, out of the way, maybe in our pockets, maybe on our laps. They're warm, clammy perhaps, they're touching something, maybe touching each other. Just notice that. Putting those sensations in the palm of the left hand, the palm of the right hand. Oh, little things. And then coming up the body, just notice the breath in the body, for example, in the abdomen, the pressure of the waistband. Breathe in and out. It's okay. All right. Where are the other big sensations? If we're leaning against something, be a bit careful if we're leaning against something, because it's terribly tempting to nod off. But just notice notice the pressure between our back and, say, the back of the chair, if that's what we're doing. Okay. And then the shoulders. Is there any tension in the shoulders? Don't forget, I'm encouraging relaxation. I'm encouraging relaxation. And if somebody's doing this meditation lying down, I don't have a problem with that, but you might if you go to sleep, because sleeping and meditating are not the same thing. Relax, relax. And notice if there is any tension in the shoulders. I can carry a lot of tension in the shoulders. And as soon as I notice that, I breathe out and let the shoulders drop under the weight of the arms. So big feelings, feet on the floor, legs on the floor, a feeling of sitting, hands touching, abdomen moving, breathing in and out. Shoulders, tense or not tense. What about the face and the head? Anything there? Well, there is actually. Lips probably closed. Jaw. Don't clamp it shut. That's a sign of tension, isn't it? I'm really gonna do this meditation. Well, let's relax the jaw. Notice saliva in the mouth. Tongue's touching something. Breath on the nostrils. So breathe in, breathe out. Skin on the face, warmth or cold, depends where we are. Sides of the head, into the scalp. There you go. Around the eyes, that's interesting as well. I usually sit with my eyes closed. You can sit with them half open if you like. Well, you can sit with them doing anything you like. But the thing about keeping your eyes open is we're just programmed to go looking for things, aren't we? Searching for something to look at. And the whole name of the game is turning the attention inwards. So if the eyes are closed, just notice sensations of closed eyes. Normally when I go to bed, I close my eyes and that's it. I'm out. But how are the feeling the eyelids touching? Sensations around the eyes, sensations in the forehead. Anything there to note and let go of. And then we can really do something experimental. Is there any sensation at all at the very top of the head, the crown of the head? There might be. There might not be. So isn't it interesting to notice sensation when it's not there? The intention is to feel any feeling that's there, but it's not there. It's this sign of precision, actually, we bring to this practice. So there's the body. We brought it along this evening. It feels like this. And notice we've stepped back from all the usual ways of talking about the body, male, female, this age, that age, all that kind of stuff. And we're just reducing the body to a mass of sensations, actually. We close the eyes, you can't even see the body. You can see the back of the eyelids, but that's about all. Just a mass of sensations. How's the mood? Can we be as objective about the mood as we are about the way the body feels? What is the mood? Are we bright? Are we down? Up? Excited? Bored? Just notice that. Have we got something on our minds? Just be aware of that. And believe me, meditation is not about, we shouldn't have anything on our minds. Meditation, mindfulness meditation, is all about being aware. Being aware of what we've been thinking about, of what we are thinking about. During a period of meditation, there will be thinking, guaranteed. Is that a fault? It is not a fault. It is being human. Okay? And the practice is to notice that, but not attached to it. You can notice it. No judgment involved. You don't judge yourself because your heartbeat or your breath is the way it is. We don't judge ourselves because we catch ourselves thinking. And we even don't judge ourselves when we get trapped by thinking. We notice we've got trapped by thinking. And in that noticing is another paradox. When we notice we're trapped in thinking, when at that precise moment we're not trapped in thinking. We're standing back from all this stuff. We're standing back from this. We're experiencing the mind as pure mind for a moment, rather than being trapped by the contents of the mind, the thinking, the hearing. This is exciting stuff, this practice, this basic meditation practice. It really helps to have a meditation object. Noticing and letting go. It's easy enough to notice things, I think, but to let go is difficult. So it's a clever practice is to have a meditation object. And there are lots. We could talk about some more at some stage this evening if you want to, but I use the feeling of the breath. Actually, I use several, but I'm using the feeling of the breath right now. What do I mean by that? I take a couple of deeper breaths. And I can feel the breath in the belly or around the nostrils. And I usually let the attention settle on the feeling of the breath around the nostrils. It's there all the time, isn't it? In breath, out breath. And that's our little anchor, our little stabilizer. And we notice the in-breath and the out-breath. That's a very neutral sort of sensation. It's a physical sensation. It's not a great mystical experience. Might lead to one, but it's not a great mystical experience. It's like in-breath, out-breath. But the point about it is it's not stimulating. In fact, it's tranquilizing. In itself, it can be quite peaceful. Obviously not if we've got a cold or something like that. And we'd use another meditation object. But the ordinary breath. And then the mind will wander, because the breath is, it's not stimulating, it's pacifying. If you do this quite a bit, mind can get quite calm. But the monkey mind, the attention wants to wander. We notice that. And there's no judgment at all. We just notice wandering mind. We notice planning. We notice thinking. How long is this sitting going to last? We're going to notice the fact that we're thinking about what happened the day before yesterday. Or whatever it is. We just notice that. You notice it. And then, this is the trick, deliberately turn the attention back towards the feeling of the breath. That's the only sort of deliberate thing we've got to do. We're building up two things there. We're building up this very useful skill of letting go. It's a thought, and we don't have to lock onto it. We notice it's there. I've noticed that. I'm attending to it. But there's my breath as well. Point the attention to the breath. And that moment, the attention is on the breath, not on the thought. That's why the meditation object is so useful. It's a subtle practice. It requires just enough effort to point the attention, to direct the attention to the feeling of the breath. And just enough effort, actually, to let go of where the mind was a moment beforehand. The thought, a sound, a feeling in the body, the smell of supper cooking. And we notice that and we turn the attention towards the breath. This is sort of attention management. It's attending to the attention. Just point the attention back to the breath. Neutral, calming. Get interested in the breath. Not why am I breathing like this, but in breath begins, ends, out breath begins, out. The ordinary breath. You don't want to control it. In breath, out breath. Sometimes it's long, sometimes it's short, sometimes it's deep. Sometimes it's shallow. It's not one is better than another. We're not trying to do anything special. We're just using a meditation object that is actually with us all the time. And people say, I haven't got time to meditate. You seem to have enough time to breathe. And that's the practice. Let's just do it for a little bit. All we've got to do is sit here, see what happens, notice what the mind is up to, point the attention back to the breath. Or for those of us who've been on the scene a long time, point the attention back to whatever we use as our meditation object, our little anchor. Remember, the boat on the anchor on the boat doesn't stop the boat from, it doesn't stop the boat from moving. It stops the boat from moving too far. That's clever, isn't it? The wind or the tide moves the boat, but the anchor says, oi, come on, back here. Okay? And that's all the meditation object does. It's just somewhere to go to when the mind starts wandering. Breathing in. No, if it helps, you can make a little mental note. In, out. And if the mind is really kind of jumping around all over the place, just you can count along with the breath up to 10. Get to 10, back to 1. Get lost in the middle, back to 1. You can play little games like that with the breath. Alert and relaxed. So if we're nodding off, do something about it. Sit up straighter, take a few deep breaths, sit with the eyes open. The alertness means we're aware of getting whacked and tired, all of that stuff. We're aware of it. It's just human nature to be like that, perhaps. Just notice that. Let go. And if we're finding this practice of, following the breath, we've got it a little bit wrong and we think we've got to like nail the attention to the breath. You get a headache like that, I should think. Right? You're certainly attending, but you're not being relaxed. There's a tension there. But relax, back off a little bit. Alert, relax. Alert, relax. In a few minutes, I'll ring the bell and keep the practice going in the sense that you're going to hear a bell. The sound will be strong initially and then it'll gradually subside. You notice that. Okay, and you notice the mind thinking, not gonna stop now. Before you do that, just notice that intention and open the eyes. Bring the attention to the feeling of seeing, the light's coming into you. And notice that, the feeling of seeing. Okay. Change the posture then, if you need to. See, mindfulness is something that the skill of it is it's a tool that we can carry around with us, all the time. Just noticing what's going on, but not getting too tangled up in it. So please do take this opportunity to shift posture, stand up if you like, wriggle around, have a sip of water. So nobody's sent through anything in the chat box yet. Okay. Yeah, so in as much as there's a theme to this evening, is why are we doing it? That's why we're doing this. We've got something else to do. What brings a newcomer to it? We've got a couple of newcomers to the class. This is a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer it. But why do you pick up this thing? Why do you turn to meditation and try it out? And then the other thing is, well, why do those of us who've been doing this, let's say, for what probably seems like lifetime, why do we still keep at it? Why are we doing it? And I can think of two good reasons why you'd come to this for the very first time. Even if you didn't know anything about Buddhism, right? It says this class is basic meditation or mindfulness or whatever it is. It's like, and mindfulness is all over the place. You can get, mindful books on mindful coloring in bookshops and all this sort of stuff. Mindfulness is, you can't miss it. Even our local Baptist church here in my little village is putting on a class on mindfulness. I should pop along and see how they do it. I'm always willing to learn. So everybody is doing this mindfulness thing. So a very good reason for coming along this evening is actually curiosity. What's all this about? And that's a great attitude to bring to a bit of meditation. What is this? And that's almost a Zen-like koan. What is this? It's right in front of me. But I'm talking more about, I've heard about mindfulness meditation or meditation. What's it all about? Let's try it and see. There again, without any judgment. Without any judgment. If I go along to a mindfulness class in the Baptist church next Tuesday, I have very few expectations about it. Try it and see. Just try it and see. How are they doing it there? Potentially it's quite interesting. And that sort of try it and see attitude is encouraged in Buddhism, actually, isn't it? The Buddha didn't say, you got to do as I tell you. he said, in a very famous teaching, Kalama Sutta, he said, don't take it on trust from anybody or because you read about it in a book or anything like that. Try it and see. That's the whole nature of, I think, a great approach to Buddhist practice, actually, and particularly true of meditation. Curiosity. Let's have a look at it. Let's do it and see what it's like. Just open-minded curiosity. And then, of course, the other reason for doing it is I'd sort of call it more therapeutic reasons. Mindfulness is all over the place, and because it helps, because it is claimed to help. So there's something called mindfulness-based cognitive behavioral therapy, which if you're lucky, you can, on the national health here, you can get referred for certainly cognitive behavioral therapy. And there is a certain amount of evidence that that's very helpful for recurrent depression and anxiety, where you might think, I'm a very negative or angry type. Maybe it's, meditation would help with that. Or maybe you just, I'd really like some peace of mind. I mean, I go into prison less frequently now than I used to. And one of the reasons guys in jail want to do a bit of meditation is, it's not a happy place to be. You want a bit of peace of mind. And a bit of meditation will help. So again, try it and see. Try it and see. And the important thing is to approach all of this, with minimal expectation. You've heard that meditation can help with problems. Heard that. But don't go in there thinking, this evening, all my problems are going to fade away. It's not like popping a pill. But, so it's just crazy. Don't try to be peaceful. Let peaceful happen as a result of doing this practice, but don't try and be peaceful. It's like if you suffer from insomnia, it's absolutely horrible because you try to go to sleep. No, it's just horrible. Don't do that. You've got to find some other skill in overcoming insomnia rather than trying to go to sleep, trying to relax. Relaxation is just, where's the trying involved? Just go, let go. So that, I think I'd come to meditation, in the first instance, out of curiosity and because I think it might help. I think it might help with my problem. I've heard it might help with my problem. Two good reasons. But why do we guys and girls who've been doing this for a long time just keep at it, you say? Why? And I think the answer, because none of us is completely crazy, because, of our experience. You do it, and from obviously almost by definition, it works, because here we are back again, doing it some more. It appears to work. So if you hang in there, the mind can get quite peaceful during a period of meditation, let alone outside. It can be enjoyable. I mean, one of the reasons I quite like to meditate is I just like a peaceful, quiet, empty head. I like it. It's pleasant. And that can happen. I'm not saying it happens every time I sit down in front of my laptop like this. Yeah, it's pretty good. And we keep on doing things that we enjoy. That's human nature. It's pleasant. It's just pleasant. We do it. But the trouble about that, and that's a perfectly legit. I've done it. I do this practice. You do this practice. Wow, that's nice. The trouble is get attached to that. You see, because peace of mind is just another condition. Conditions change. Peace of mind evaporates, doesn't it? But it's there. And of course, in terms of the therapeutic effects as well, it can help. There's no doubt about that. It can help. Life goes easier, better when we do this practice. I mean, why are we doing it otherwise? Maybe we can let go of anxiety. Maybe we can let go of depression for a bit. We do it for a bit. And that seems that life goes easier. So it seems for us old hands that meditation does what it sort of says on the tin. It's confidence. We have confidence, and that's what that's what I call faith in Buddhism. We have faith in this practice. It's not blind faith. It's faith in the sense that I'm doing this, and it helps. And actually, from a Buddhist point of view, we do this practice. A lot of the Buddha's teachings, which can seem quite difficult, become clearer as well. So you have kind of faith in the whole business of Buddha Dharma as well. So that's enough for the moment, on why we meditate and motives. And motives are important. Curiosity will get us there. The desire to help for therapeutic reasons gets us there. And then if we do it and the experience says, yeah, it ticks the box, as it were, they want to do it some more. So these motives do matter. Why we meditate matters. Quite apart from the fact that we generated the mind of enlightenment at the beginning for all sentient beings. Honestly, it helps, number one, and that's why we do it. So we'll do it a bit more, if you don't mind. I won't say too much this time because there's nothing more to say. It's all about doing it, really. So you kind of compose the body, nice stable posture, easing out any little tension. Alert, relaxed posture, whatever that means to you. Just tuning in to sensations in the body as we set the body up. How's it doing? Any tension there? Picking up a meditation object. And I don't want people to think the breath is the only meditation object. So I'm very happy to, discuss other methods. It just happens to be my main one. The Buddha recommends it. I never heard anything bad, You don't go off your head. You don't get into trouble just using the feeling of the breath. I mean, how could you? How could you? Breath's there all the time. Just a question of attending to it, of noticing it, and not worrying about it. Normally you're worried, you're panting a bit, a bit snuffly because of the cold or something like that. But ordinary breath, how could that lead to trouble? Just feeling the rhythm of the breath. That's it. I think it's a good all-purpose meditation object. It's just got that right balance of being peaceful, but also challenging because it is so darn peaceful. It's not stimulating at all. It's not nearly as stimulating as an angry thought. So you got just notice what the mind is doing, dwelling on that ra, and then just deliberately letting go and pointing the attention back, the rhythm of the breath. And on the out breath, if it helps, just try deliberately relaxing. Bring in and out. attention, paying attention to the attention. And when the mind starts saying things like, I can't seem to get a handle on this, I'm not doing it very well, just notice that. There's judgment, notice that, let go, back to the breath. All the time, we apply this method of noticing whatever it is going on in the mind. Yep, there it goes again. And back to the breath, and let go back to the breath. Patiently practicing like this. when the mind is wandering, notice that. Just don't let it wander too far. Let go. What's the breath like? In breath, out breath. Short or shallow or deep or long. Breathing in and out. So we have a choice. Interesting choice, don't we? We can choose to get lost in thinking, lost in thoughts, lost in emotions, or we can choose to let go, let the attention rest on the breath. It's a choice. So, Wongdu, could you please unmute everybody? And this will, thank you so much. So if you want to, you can unmute. Obviously switch your camera on if you'd like to do that. You don't have to. I just want to say a few further words at the end here about why we do it, what's our motives and all that. And I've been talking about suggesting that good reasons, good motives for getting into meditation would say curiosity. This open-minded curiosity is a great attitude to have. Let's try it and see. I've heard of it. Let's try it and see. That's good. That's a good attitude to bring to a period of meditation. And sometimes I might say something at the end of a class, So what have we learned in the last hour? That sort of thing. What have we actually learned? It's a learning experience. It's a bit of a cliche, isn't it? But what have we learned? Curiosity. Good. And then of course, for, if you like, therapeutic reasons, I need help with this, and maybe meditation is going to help me get my act together, sort my head out, or whatever it happens to be. Good reasons again for coming to meditation, getting involved in it, and then staying with it because we know it works. Our experience tells us that the mind quietens down, get a bit more peace of mind, get on better with other people, perhaps. It's you have faith. It's called faith. You have faith in this practice. I just want to end up sort of with a couple of reasons which I don't think are terribly helpful for meditating. One is, please don't try and become a great meditator. I mean, really, please don't try and do that. There are lots of fine meditation teachers out there. And I've no idea what a great meditator is. That's just another kind of ego project. I mean, almost a desire to be a great meditator, to really nail it down. That's totally the wrong attitude. It just doesn't help. Okay, that's not so good. And another one is I've heard there are all these mystical experiences you can happen during meditation. I'd like a bit of that. And it sort of goes back to the kind of psychedelic days. Wow. I'd like to see bright lights and experience my body floating, all that sort of stuff. That's that can lead to disappointment, actually, can't it? I mean, if you don't, I'm not going to do that. I thought I'd levitate. Can't do that. Oh. I'm not saying that the exotic states of mind, mystical states of mind or whatever, don't happen. But I mean, this desire to do this sort of thing is a bit of a problem, isn't it? I mean, it's silliness. I mean, I remember when I first got into meditation years and years and years ago, and the mind quietens down, and all sorts of strange things happen. They do. I mean, the sensation of whatever, levitation, I mean, all this sort of stuff can happen. And the danger is, it's fascinating. So, you've done it once, and you want it again and again and again. You spend the rest of the next 10 years trying to create some transitory, temporary state that happened way back then. Complete waste of time. That's just, and just remember that mystical experiences are impermanent. They're not going to last forever. Maybe it'll happen, but I mean, going after it, it's not terribly useful at all. Don't do it. And then a third reason, a bit of an odd reason, this is the one that says, well, I'm a good Buddhist, and that's what good Buddhists do. They meditate, you see. And it's sort of some kind of habitual sort of ritual kind of thing. I do it because I'm a Buddhist. And, well, there's all sorts of me in all of that, aren't there, really? And I'm not quite sure, frankly, what a good Buddhist is anyway. But anyway, it's like, I do it because that's what Buddhists do. Now, I'm not knocking that really, because the reason, I mean, the interesting thing is, I meditate because I'm a Buddhist, but why am I a Buddhist? If you get back a bit, I think I can shed a bit of help on this. And I want to tell a story, well, not a story, it's like the last week, just the last week. So last Thursday, a week ago today, actually, I spent most of the afternoon at Amaravati Buddhist Monastery, Theravadan Buddhist Monastery, not a million miles away from where I live. And I was there for the funeral of, I think, a remarkable fellow, not a monk, not a nun, remarkable guy, without whose heroic efforts, I don't think the Thai forest tradition would be in this country right now. I mean, in that temple at Amaravati at that time, there were sort of wall-to-wall monks and nuns at the front, way all over, and there were a lot of us lay people sitting at the back, a lot. And it's like, that building wouldn't have been there, and we wouldn't have been there, but for the efforts of this man. And he died, okay, and he died. So I was there for the funeral. As I drove back in the car, put the radio on, and of course, I heard that the Queen was very ill, okay, and by the time I got home, the Queen had died. So I went to a funeral, right, and an hour or so later, heard the Queen had died, and then a little reflection. I thought, in a couple of weeks' time, I've got another birthday. Okay, old age, sickness, and death. You see, old age, sickness, and death. And that's why I'm a Buddhist, actually. You know, that's why I'm a Buddhist, because it appears to offer release from this continual cycle of, you know, birth, rebirth, old age, sickness, and death. That's why I'm a Buddhist, and that's why I do it. That's why I do this meditation thing. It's not because I want to become a great meditator or experience mystical states or some sort of ritual. I do it because at bottom I will out, you know, and that's what that's the Buddhist teaching. And the other thing is, I don't want to. I want to sound a bit weird, actually, but never mind. I shall say it. Which maybe goes against what I said before. I think meditation should be a habit. Now, in Buddhism, habits and in cognitive behavioral therapy, it's all about habitual patterns of behavior. It is. It's all about habits. It's all about being on automatic pilot. If you read books on CBT or mindfulness-based cognitive behavioral therapy, it's all about using mindfulness to see our repeated patterns of unskillful behavior and learning to let go of them. So we are creatures of habit, actually. We're creatures of habit. But I suggest not all habits are bad. Not all habits are bad. Some are good. You know, I clean my teeth. Most of us clean our teeth nighttime and in the morning. That's a habit. It's not a big deal. It's just a habit. You know, we do other things habitually, and they're not bad things at all. Okay, so I suggest that we make a habit. If you want to practice meditation, making it something we do habitually. So you set a particular time of day or whatever, just do it. And it could be doing it on the bus as well. I mean, it's like, but we do it. It's a habitual thing. There's nothing more than that. It's like cleaning your teeth. It's just habitual. And habits are important. Habits are important. I mean, from a therapeutic point of view, a lot of our habits are not very skillful. In Buddhism, there's something called dependent origination, which is all about how unskillful habits lead to suffering. But some habits are good habits. And it's not just the Buddha who says that. I have a quote here from somebody who I don't think was a Buddhist, and his name is Aristotle. And Aristotle says, and I'm reading from my little book of quotations that I've picked up over the years, Aristotle says, we are what we repeatedly do. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is not an act, but a habit. Excellence is not an act, but a habit. Okay. So the encouragement then is to develop a habit, right? An excellent habit, which certainly from my point of view would be the habit of a regular meditation practice. That's enough from me. I haven't seen anything in the chat box at all, but please ask any questions, make any comments. And actually, I want to ask you. This is a sincere request, everybody. I think it's quite good. It's quite a good discipline for me to have a little theme. I mean, you know, it's like a theme about, well, today I thought, well, this is the first class of since the break. Let's talk about while we meditate. Let's think about while we meditate. But I'd like to, if you have any ideas for what would make a nice little theme to discuss during this period of meditation, do please, you know, speak up or send me a chat or something. I really appreciate that sort of thing. Otherwise, I've got to think of a theme. Anyway, open for questions, discussion, anything that's happened tonight you'd like more on, or anything about meditation technique, different meditation objects. And while you're thinking about that, the way ahead is, I think in the last Thursday of the month, which is something like the 29th, I'm guessing, 29th, Ajahn Barry Subhaddo, who, if you've been on the scene of this class for a while, you know him. He's good friend, good personal friend, good Dharma friend. He used to, with me, used to lead this class at the Buddhist Society, and he became a monk, and then he stopped being a monk, and he lives in Spain, and he zooms in once a month to lead the class, and so Ajahn Barry will, I think we've agreed on the last Thursday. So I think, because you never know, people change their plans and all that. Maybe here next week, but anyway, I think I'll be doing it next week, and Ajahn Barry will be here the week after. And it's really great to hear Ajahn Barry doing this, because he's got a heck of a lot of experience, not just as a Theravada monk, but before that he was heavily into Zen Buddhism as well. And anyway, so that's him. But please, any questions, comments, bright ideas for the class? Particularly interested how the two newcomers got on. I mean, any thoughts at all, folks? Just let me know. But do, as I say, if you're comfortable just unmuting, do say so. I mean, do speak. There you go. That's what I'm trying to say. Do speak. Or if you'd rather send a chat, please do.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question.
Yes.
Which is about anger.
Yes.
And how meditation can help with feelings of anger.
Yes.
Perhaps towards oneself, towards other people.
Mm-hmm. So
what is it? What is anger? Is it an emotion? I don't know. What is it? Is it?
Yeah, it's a strong emotion, isn't it? It's a strong emotion, and it comes and it goes, and it can be very powerful. It can be very, it's strange, it can be very attractive, actually. Wow, God, I let him have it. He deserved it, But
can we become attached to anger?
Can attach to it? My goodness, of course you can become attached to anger. Yeah, but you can do something. You can notice that attachment, and you can do things like questions like, "How do you feel when you're angry? Do you feel good? Do you feel bad?" I mean, there's meditation can be very useful for people who have real anger problems. I know guys in jail who have been a wee bit angry in the past, and that's why they're in jail. And so anger management courses can be quite helpful. And one of the things I think you learn on these courses is how to be aware of in the body, how the body feels before you hit somebody. Somebody says something to you, and the instinctive reaction is to blow a fuse, but that's accompanied by sensations in the body. We all know that, actually. So you get angry, you get tense, temperature builds up, you clench your fists. Perhaps, right? So a lot of the ability to just feel emotion in the body is very interesting. And then you have a chance to notice that and let go if you want to. Let go if you want to. So you can use mindfulness practice in that way. Of yes, there's the feeling of anger in the mind. Right? I notice that, and then perhaps I can let go of it. Or I notice the feeling in the body. Oh yeah, there's a trigger there. Or you just notice a trigger. I saw that person came in the room, and immediately you become very aware, very sensitive of triggers and sensations in the body. Then you can do something about it, like bring the attention back to the breath, breathe out, let go. But but can you sort of change things before it all happens? And the answer is yes, slowly, because there's a whole strand of meditation about developing positive mental states and learning to let go of negative mental states. And I mean, sometimes during the class, I'll devote the class, may do it sooner rather than later. It's a practice I very much like, which is developing what they call, in the Pali word is metta, and it's translated as loving kindness or generating goodwill, right? And generating goodwill towards, by the way, the first person you start with when you're generating goodwill is goodwill towards yourself. Yeah. So a lot of it is, I guess if I was talking to a psychologist here, they might say, this is positive psychology. May I be well, may I be happy. That's a very authentic kind of wish, isn't it? I think everybody here wants to be well, want to be happy, free from all stress and anxiety. And then we want our nearest and dearest, almost by definition, it's almost a tautology. I want them to be well, I want them to be happy, free from all suffering. So gradually, it's a clever practice, you see. You're gradually building up this capacity to bring goodwill and kindness into the mind, into the heart mind, so that we can share it with a wider and wider number of people, including somebody, and this takes practice. I mean, this is not like popping up, it's not just, I experience a lot of anger. There's a lot of anger around today. I'm going to do some of this practice, and by the end of the afternoon or evening or whatever it is, I'm going to run out and put my arms around and hug this person who's been giving me a lot of grief. It really is not like that. But you work on it, and gradually perhaps you begin to see things from the other person's point of view. They've got their problems too. It's that kind of attitude. And so, yes, you can do something about anger. What you've got to avoid doing is, some people come along and say, I'm an angry person. Really? You're angry. What you're trying to say is, anger comes into the mind. But the cardinal sin, we don't do cardinal sins in Buddhism. But I mean, the big error is to say, that's you. That's not you. It's not you. It's an emotional state. You said it at the beginning, Althea. It's not you. It's an emotional state. Do you like it? Do you don't like it? Do you want to do something about it? Or not do something about it? You want to do something about it? Here's some things you can do about it. Any further thoughts, Althea? Because I think it was Althea.
Yeah, I think, do you think we live in constant emotional states? That they could be angry, unhappy, happy, sad? Is that how our mind works? That it has to be in some state or other. It doesn't have to be angry. It can be super happy, elated, joyful.
Well, you're just describing life. I mean, that's what life's like, isn't it, really? Good times, bad times, happy times, sad times, loving people, hating people. And it's like, in this practice, one's beginning to get a bit of space around about it. It's not, it's not like saying people who give you a bad time, you should necessarily run out and love them. And it's not like, it's more like getting a bit of distance around everything. Oh, there's anger. Oh, there's happiness. I mean, all these mental states, even the pleasant ones, last forever. They don't. They come and they go. That's just a fact. I mean, I'm all for happiness, but do I seriously think that life is always a bed of roses? No, I don't. Happiness comes and goes. And it's more a question of just seeing these, I think in Buddhism they talk about worldly winds, good stuff, bad stuff, they blow at you. And nobody's saying, happy states of mind are unpleasant. They're obviously not. Nobody's saying that anger is praiseworthy. It's not. It's not good. It's not good stuff. They just come and they go. And the question is, can we just, through this practice of there again, being absolutely honest, not I am angry, but there's anger. That's there. That's anger in the mind. Okay, what to do about it, you see? No, you're right. I mean, we are emotional beings, aren't we? We're emotional beings. That's part of our nature. And it's like, but it's not the whole story, is it? These are conditions that come into the mind and leave the mind. And sounding a bit Buddhist now, our role as Buddhists is just to be aware of that, to witness that, not attached to that. Not attached to that. Does that make any sense?
I don't believe in hating people, but I think like strong emotions like anger can lead to feelings of hatred, but that's wrong.
Yeah, and hatred for oneself. You can hate yourself for hating somebody else. I mean, often that's why in this practice of metta that I was talking about, developing loving kindness, you start with yourself. Because, you know, if you sort of don't feel good about yourself, you're very defensive. So somebody sort of says something a bit off, and you immediately get angry with them because you feel you're attacked. You know, it's like if you're sort of into this Buddhism business and somebody sticks their head around the door and says, "You're not a very good Buddhist," you don't watch it, you know, you can get a bit angry, can't you? But, you know, from a point of view of practice, that's just a sound. It's just hearing. You notice somebody says, "You're not a good Buddhist." Uh-huh. You notice tension in the body, you know, all this kind of stuff. And the practice is one of just not, you know, it's not engaging with that so much. Step back from it. Oh yeah, let go of it. Let go of it. But I mean, it's you know, these are just words. It's the practice. It's the practice that matters. And practices are there, but they have to be worked at.
Thank
And
you.
that's another. All that's another strand of Buddhist meditation. I mean, the core of Buddhist meditation is undoubtedly mindfulness, but there are other aspects to it, which is cultivating positive mind states and being able to let go of negative ones. And the other strand, the third strand, is developing tranquility, actually peace of mind. Yeah. Any more thoughts from anybody else? Has anybody got any ideas for something I can, rather themes? Yeah, go ahead. I think, is that Evie?
Evie.
Evie.
Hi.
Yeah, you're new to the class. Hi, welcome.
I am. Yeah. I have meditated for a long time, but it was TM meditation by myself. So this is my first sort of group. I've been looking towards Buddhism more recently, and I wanted a group to sort of learn with. And I have to do things online, so this has just sort of turned up at the right time for me. I had a question about when you meditate on something. I'm a creative person, and often the question comes, I remember, you know, I hear people say meditate on that, and I just don't quite understand if I wanted to meditate on solving a problem, what is that process with mindfulness? Is it the same as using the breath? Is it you focus on the question and repeat it in your head, or? Well,
it all depends how this problem manifests, doesn't it? You know, if it comes into your head, as I say, in a period of meditation, in formal meditation, right? If this thing we're calling a problem, by the way, that's quite interesting that you know one labels it as a problem.
I suppose because problems more general. I was thinking more if I wanted to meditate on creating a drawing, and I had some sort of blockage to creating, the problem is potentially the blockage, not the skill. So it's more.
You'd be aware of the blockage. You notice the blockage, right? And you would learn to let go of it. Maybe you know it's an aversion to something. You notice that aversion, let go of it. Practice is always the same. There is this condition of the mind, you know, or the body for that matter, and the practice is one of, oh yeah, it's like that. It's like that. Back to the breath. Or back to, you see, it's quite interesting you come to this from TM, because TM uses a mantra, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah. But you can use a mantra. I mean, that's another. I'm saying that to everybody because a mantra is another perfectly respectable, useful, and valuable meditation object, which is just a phrase or a form of words, right? And you just bring the attention to that. So, for example, the Thai forest tradition, the mantra is often just the word Buddho, derived from the word Buddha, which just means awake. So that instead of using the breath as an anchor, or maybe even as well as using the breath as an anchor, they'd use this word Buddho. And in Tibetan Buddhism, it's Om Mani Padme Hum, and all over. I mean, I can even use the mantra, may I be well, may others be well. This is building in this practice of loving kindness that we were talking about earlier into the bog standard practice. So it just becomes, you know, your default option. The attention can either be on what's for supper, or may I be well, may others be well. So, I mean, if TM worked for you, you're happy working with a mantra, use the mantra. but the practice is exactly the same. Right? There's something in the mind, you notice what's in the mind. And I'm not saying that, you know, if you're creative, or never mind if you're creative, there's a job of work to do, and you find yourself thinking about a job of work, that's okay, isn't it? The question is, you know, at this precise moment, when you're doing your meditation practice, do you want to spend the next 20 minutes just trying to solve the problem of how you're going to satisfy the boss? Or do you want to get a bit of space around it? Do you want to learn to let go of it? And then you know, the bell goes at the end of your 20 minutes, right? And then you can, normal service can be resumed. You know, you work on the problem and solve the problem, or not solve the problem. But during a period of meditation, you're developing this skill to let go of it when you want to let go of it. So you don't necessarily take it to bed with you, and you find yourself waking up at 3 a.m. trying to solve this problem. That's all.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming to the class. Come back again. Any other questions or comments or themes? Nobody's offering any themes at all.
Hey, Colin, it's good to be back.
Leslie.
First thing I'd like to say. The theme that's coming out to me loud and clear here is about this letting go, and that moment, yeah, before the thinking mind clicks in, which is what Ajahn Barry will talk to us about. And I'd just like to recommend to anybody who's new to the class, be here in a fortnight's time and listen to Ajahn Barry, because he will build on what Colin's been talking tonight, but he does really focus, doesn't he, on that second before the thinking mind kicks in and trying to identify that. So I think that would help with some of the questions that have come up tonight. But
good point. I mean, thank you for mentioning that. Yes, I mean that's the other thing, that, you know, different meditation teachers emphasize different things. I mean, that's always the case, based on their experience. Frankly, what works for Barry, Ajahn Barry, is, you know, that, and you know, he can talk about it with some conviction. It works for him. Okay, yeah, that's very good. That's very good. But I mean, there again, the name of the practice all the time is noticing these habitual patterns of behavior, being aware of it, and just learning to back off, to let go of it. And when Barry is here, I mean, what he'll do is just develop this body scanning pretty much the whole time. That's what he does, from top to toe. He's just bringing attention to the body the whole time, just not judging the body in any way. But it's just the body feels like it feels. You're just aware of that, and that is a very helpful practice in everyday life, because a lot of the sort of emotional stuff we've been talking about is reflected in sensations in the body. You know, we think problems or whatever they are, the anger or whatever, that stuff going around, you know, between our ears, and it sort of is, but is also enervating the body as well, isn't it? Energizing the body. So you tune into the energy, what's going on in the body. Ah, that's what's happening. There's a chance of not getting trapped in it. That sort of thing. Oh yeah. Yeah, Barry's very good on this. Anything else? I haven't. How are we doing here? Well, okay. Thanks a lot for coming, folks. It's good to see you. It's good to be back in business here. I don't know whether anybody else. I can't really see. But I don't know how many of us live in London. I mean, I don't live in London. But no. It's just, all I was going to do was sort of plug the Buddhist Society. The Buddhist Society is very close to Victoria Station, and under normal time. Well, these are normal times now. You know, back in the day before COVID, all these classes were held at the Buddhist Society, and now the Buddhist Society is trying to get people to go back to the building for obvious reasons. They've got good facilities there. So if anybody is in London, you know, do go back. And there are masses of other meditation classes on offer there. I mean, like today at lunchtime, there was a class that a guy who's a long-time member of this class was giving the class, and that was face-to-face. So I think he probably had half a dozen people coming in to the building at lunchtime today. And there are also other online classes as well, which are open to anybody. And if my memory is correct, there are online classes, lunchtime classes on Friday lunchtime and Monday lunchtime, and they're open to anybody, and they are about 40 minutes. You know, I mean, this is an hour and a half or whatever it happens to be. But these are 40-minute classes, and you get the opportunity to sit, asking questions, and somebody will give a bit of guidance. So I mean, just go to the Buddhist Society's website and see what there is to see. And actually, on Sunday mornings as well, there's another shortish session as well. So there's lots of, although I love you all dearly, and I hope you'll all come back forever and ever to this class, there are other treats out there being offered by the Buddhist Society. Just want to say that. But I think that's everything tonight. Do take care between now and next week and beyond. But anyway, thanks again for coming. Look after yourselves, and see you whenever. And thank you. I want to thank Wong, because behind the scenes, there's Wongdu there, who is making all this happen.